Listen to the unofficial voice of World Cup 2006, brought to you by Times Online and Avalon in association with the Dodge Caliber.
All right, then we're in Germany.
Yeah,
Dave.
we're here in Germany.
At last, we have landed.
Yeah, when Wayne Rooney, as it now seems that he might gets to play, no one is going to tread really hard on his foot.
Well, yeah. I mean, I haven't really read it. I just saw a picture of him smiling, which I presume meant he was going to play. But so I understand it. They're not really sure. They're still a bit unsure about how well it's healing. But the thing is, he can play for England, and Man United are really, really livid. Yeah. Which is a kind of a double whammy, isn't it?
It's perfect, isn't it?
It couldn't be any better
It's absolutely
than that.
brilliant. Actually, I read about it in a newspaper, which is famous for misprints. And there was quite a strange little bit where apparently he went to the clinic and there was a fire alarm at the clinic,
right.
Which is quite worrying anyway. But they actually described it in this newspaper.
Hold on, there was a fire alarm. You mean the fire alarm that went off?
Yeah, a fire alarm that went off at the clinic.
Right.
But they described that in this newspaper as a... I'm going to have to find it, actually.
Well, I like the sound of rustling newspaper.
They described it in this paper as a fire alarm. And what I think this is, and I'll be interested in your views on this, is whether the writer... It's not a misprint. The writer is doing a Freudian slip. And because it's about the FA, he's thinking about fire alarm. And he's actually confused fire alarm and fire alarm because, of course, that caused an alarm at the FA as well.
Yes. It certainly was if you were seen at a clinic.
Well, that must be what was happening, I think. No wonder he came out smiling.
I think to be fair to Alex Ferguson, which I'm not that inclined to be, but to be fair to him, I think that Sven has taken on a kind of... You know when people are leaving a company and they phone the speaking clock in Tokyo on their last day and leave it on all weekend?
I've never known about that, but it sounds like a good idea.
You do it as a ruse and it costs the company a load of money on the phone bill. I think he's kind of got a bit like that with his squad and all that. And I think if we got to a game we were losing, he would put Rooney on. If he thought, well, this is my last England game anyway, it doesn't matter, I think he'd put him on crutches, because what's he got to lose?
I said in this panel show that I was on that I think he would be healing quickly because he is 90% monkey. And obviously it was a joke, but I sort of vaguely believe that Rooney's speed of healing is partly to do with the fact that he's virtually an animal. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean, though? He is. Do you remember that picture of him coming out of the sea with his family?
Yes.
And they did look like the missing link to some extent.
Right. But... monkeys didn't come out of the sea, did they? I think you do get sea monkeys. They used to be advertised in Superman comics.
Yeah, I had one actually.
Did you?
Yeah, I had a sea monkey, and they're the rubbish pets, the rubbishest pets you could have. They're basically specks of dust.
Right.
You put them in water.
We all are, though.
I know, but you put them in water and they grow into
monkeys.
Floating specks of dust.
Oh,
that's
right.
what they basically
do. So what's
do.
the monkey element involved?
I think that's just to get kids to buy them, because kids think they're going to get a monkey and they just get a floating speck of dust.
Actually, speaking of Sven, have you noticed this thing that, according to him, we're not in the World Cup at all. We're in the World Cup.
That's your Sven impression, is
based on but that's what he does, though.
Yeah.
He says World Cup. It's always like the emphasis is in the wrong place.
Yeah, but you do that, actually. We're not on World Cup, but we're with Steven Gerrard. You're the only bloke I know who says Steven Gerrard. Which makes him sound a bit puffy, I think, which he definitely isn't.
I think it's based on when I was a kid, there was a famous racehorse called Brigadier Gerard.
Yeah.
And I imagine he's a relative.
But what it reminds me of is Larry Grayson used to have a friend called Everard.
Everard,
and it sounds to me like Stephen Everard, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Have you seen this? Talking of Stephen Gerrard, have you seen this story?
Don't like your cup of tea, Albert, for God's sake.
Have you seen this story that was in one of the papers, which is about a young England fan, 6-year-old, who won a competition, with McDonald's.
Oh, yeah, the McDonald's kid.
And he thought he was going to be an England mascot and he was going to lead the England team out. Unfortunately, it turns out that McDonald's didn't really think about that, and he's the German mascot. An English little boy is going to be the German mascot.
Interesting. He looks a little bit like Boris Becker.
He does look a bit like Boris Becker, and of course Boris Becker has had a lot of children. Well, I don't think it's one of his.
No.
There's a bit here where it says his father, Simon Harris, 42, a rag and bone man. Oh, hang on, he's a rag and bone man, Frank. I think you better read out the quote, actually.
His father is a rag and bone man.
If he's a rag and bone man, that should be you, I think.
Okay, right.
He's only 6 and it hasn't sunk in yet, Harold.
He still thinks the England team will somehow materialise. His favourite player is Steven Gerrard.
Oh, it's Gerrard, not Gerrard.
Don't pull me up on my pronunciation here. I'm an old man.
Hang on a sec. What else does it say? What else does it say?
It's the poor kid, though.
It's Louis. His name is Louis from Gateshead Tyne & Wear. He said, I would have liked an England game. Actually, we're talking here about the son of the Rag and Bone Man, aren't we? So you may as well read that bit out as well.
So the son of the Rag and Bone Man, where is it? He would have said, I would have liked an England game because I don't know any of the German players. You tatty old man. I have been telling everyone, etc., etc., etc. You dirty little bleeder.
So we had a lovely flight, didn't we, over here to here in Munich.
You know, before, I don't think I told you this, when I was picked up in the morning, it was a driver we've had a few times called Dell.
I know Dell.
Yeah, and he was saying, so you're off to Germany. He said, he said, my dad used to live in Germany. I said, oh, did he really? He said, yeah, he was a POW. I wouldn't say that was...
No, is that living?
To live in Germany.
Living in Germany.
And then he told me a few...
What kind of life is that?
I know, yeah. But... So that was nice. But so we got to the airport, but then there was a very weird bit because what happened? We were sitting in the lounge, and then a voice came over the tannoy system and said, "Thank you very much for observing that 2-minute silence."
Yeah. Now that was really terrible because what they hadn't done was announce the beginning of the 2-minute silence. They just said at the end of it, "Thank you for observing it." Now we, as a result, had not observed it; had just been chatting all the way through it. We looked around; everyone else looked a bit embarrassed and upset. We asked some of the lounge staff. None of them knew what it was about.
No, it was... I mean, I'd quite like to find out. I mean, obviously it'll be a sad story.
Well, it will be a sad story, but I think it's a 2-minute silence. It's a long silence. You know, like at football grounds, if George Best dies or whatever, there's a 1-minute silence. The only time I know there's been a 2-minute silence in this country is when Princess Diana died.
Oh, no, we've had 70 or 80 minutes of silence at the Albion many a time. Also, when it said the 2-minute silence is now over, my instinct was to go, yeah, come on!
Yeah. I was listening for distant building work throughout it and mobile phones going off.
But why do people do that at football matches? At the end of the 2-minute silence, everybody goes, come on!
Oh, I think that's brilliant. I love that when that happens, because I think there's a sense in which it's the triumph of life over death when people do that.
Well, it got me a few stares on Remembrance Sunday, I can tell you that.
But if anyone is listening and they know why there might have been a 2-minute silence at Heathrow Airport on
Monday the 7th,
whenever it was,
the 7th.
Can you email us? You'll know our email already, or you can phone us on, what's the phone number?
Oh, we don't have a phone number.
But Pete Roach, our producer, he'll know it.
I bet he doesn't.
I do.
What is it, Pete?
The number is 0870 6260 413.
Okay, so phone us if you know the answer to that, or indeed if you want to say anything to us. Phone, and your voice could be on the next podcast.
Yeah, your voice will be on. We won't just read it out. We'll play you.
I'll tell you whose voice you are about to hear, though, which was very exciting for me and Frank. Is who should we meet on the aeroplane over but Mr. David Pleat?
Yeah, that was great.
I've said Mr. David Pleat like people say Mr. James Brown.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
yeah,
you know, it was exciting.
Or Miss Whitney Houston.
Yeah, exactly. But well, here he is. Here we are on the flight to Munich, and who should we bump into but Mr. David Pleat? Hello, David.
Hi, David. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And have you brought the beige suit to run on if England score?
I have indeed. It's in the case, and I'll allow you to inspect it before we get through the customs. Watch the fleas.
Yeah.
So, David, you must have heard about these new referee directives, the FIFA directives.
Yes.
What do you make of those?
Well, very interesting, because certainly one of the briefs was they have to have testicular fortitude, and I think they'll have to have plenty of that.
Testicular fortitude.
What does that mean, testicular
I
fortitude?
think they have to have the balls to make strong decisions.
But have you seen the balls are much lighter than they used to be?
They are indeed, but I'm told they are still round, which is wonderful, really, because goodness knows what they'll be in 40 years' time. They change every year. They have spots on them one year, dragons on them another year, and we're looking forward to seeing England in the final with the final ball. Yeah. And I suppose at the final ball it will be the ring round the middle. No panels.
Yeah. I've always thought TV coverage would be better with no panels. So.
I keep on thinking that David was doing euphemisms or innuendos, but I couldn't quite work out what they were.
No, he wouldn't do that. Have you been to Germany loads of times? You must have been with the Champions League and stuff like that.
Fleeting trips. I went there as a very young player with Forest to Berlin many years ago.
You played Berlin?
We played a team called Hertha Berlin.
Hertha
Berlin at the time.
How did you get on?
3-2, I think. I think the goal was scored in the 86th minute and it was raining.
How did you play in that game? Do you remember?
Not so well, because I was sold about 2.5 years later, so I was I was a very young player at the time, actually, and it was a wonderful experience.
I didn't know they had international football during the war, David.
Yes, well, we don't go quite back that far, David. It's before university, you know.
When would that have been then, when you played there?
Early 60s.
When he sold you 2.5 years later, though, he didn't say that's because you didn't play very well in Berlin.
No, not at all. That was because I played in a series of games not very well in various countries and teams.
Now you're just being modest. I actually think, Dave, and I'm not saying this because you're here, that on the old co-commentator front, you've kind of made that your own. I think you're kind of the premier co-commentator now.
Well, it's very kind of you to say so. I try and be not too frivolous. I occasionally drop a, what do they call it, a bollock? But we
testicular fortitude, David.
We do, and I enjoy my life. I watch regular football at all levels, so I'm still very fortunate. And I'm now approaching 50, so I've got to, just ease down a little.
Frank is approaching 50. So could you not mention that?
I think we were at university together, but Frank can't remember me.
No, I remember your celebration when you got your degree in the suit.
I did. I got a degree. That's correct.
Well, anyway, here we are, 3 men, all football mad, all on our way to the World Cup. It's fantastic.
Thank you very much, David.
Thanks a lot, David Play. Yes. Thank you.
And thank you for letting me interview you. I've been delighted.
Well, that was David Pleat.
David Pleat.
Yeah, but one thing we did notice about that, and he was a very lovely man, we enjoyed the interview, but he's very, very keen, wasn't he, to stress the fact that he's been to university.
Well, I never knew he'd been to university, and of course, obviously assumed that he hadn't. But when you made the joke about the war, he said, no, that was when I was at university.
Yeah, and then when you made the joke about, you did the dance.
What about being 50? He said, yeah, we were together at university.
Yeah.
And then I said, oh, yeah, I remember when you got a degree? And he said, yes, I got a degree.
Yes, what I particularly like is that it was a joke about the dance, but he saw another opportunity to remind us that
I don't know that if he did go to university. I'm kind of just assuming from what he said.
I think he must have done. I mean, if anyone knows what David Pleat got a degree in.
If you can email us with David Pleat's educational achievements.
Yeah, that would be great.
He must have got a degree. Perhaps someone even was with him, if they're still alive, even with him at university.
Yeah, it's slightly odd, though, because I would have thought at the time that David Pleat became a footballer, it was very unusual to go to university.
Yeah, well, there's going to be a fabulous story in that, I should think. He was obviously an extremely academic-type player.
Yeah.
He played for Hamilton Academicals, I think, at the time.
Well, so anyway, we arrived in Munich.
And I always love that bit when you get to an airport and you have the drive to your hotel and you start seeing the place. So during the drive to the hotel, we decided to do a quick interview.
Here we are. We're now on the way from the airport into Munich, and our driver is a lovely person called Bianca.
Hi, we are now at the Munich airport, and we go direction center Munich. And what I could find out is that we need approximately 38 kilometers, 40 minutes to get there. And a good friend of mine, she told me that the hotel where we have to go, it's in a gay area, which is a nice area with some old houses and very quiet. And let's see how it is.
The gay area. I was once in Munich in the Englischer Garten, and there was a lot of naked men, sitting around in the park. Is that normal in Germany?
Yeah, you can see that in Berlin too. We have the huge garden, the Tiergarten, the animal garden. It's a huge park in the center of Berlin, and there is a quarter. There you will find all the naked gays.
So basically every city in Germany has a bit where the gays sunbathe naked.
Cologne is also well famous for it.
Do they wear eau de cologne there?
The thing is that it's not that separated, is it, Bianca? Because the one in Munich that I saw, I mean, there were families walking past with their children and stuff, and they're on the hill. In fact, I went and joined them, and we all sat naked, and there was normal people. Not that we weren't normal,
careful.
But there was
careful.
But there were people pushing prams and that past, and we were all sitting there with no clothes on.
Yeah, the same in Berlin. You could walk there between in the park and to the right and to the left. They lay naked on the green, the homosexuals, and there are also some corners or a little bridge in the park going over a canal, and they are meeting on this bridge, and it's funny.
Okay. Well, we're not quite used to that in Britain, are we?
Well, you speak for yourself.
But, you know, it's great, I think. It's a fabulously free and open attitude to nudity and sexuality.
No, I'm very much looking forward to it. I mean, I'm looking forward to the World Cup, but not as much as I'm looking forward to this.
Well, that was very elucidating, wasn't it?
It was.
What I like best about it, well, there's quite a few things I liked about it. I particularly liked it when she says about Cologne, that the homosexual park there, that Cologne is world famous for that. Because Cologne, I don't know if you know, the cathedral in Cologne, not only is it one of the greatest cathedrals in the world, it's the only thing left standing after the British bombing in 1945. Right? And yet, what Cologne is world famous for, apparently, is the naked homosexual park.
Yeah, so not so much bombing as... Well, yes. Anyway, the Homo de Cologne.
Well, I also like the sort of Elysium, the sort of paradise she painted of the gay park, with its bridges and rivers and...
Well, it sounded like she said they have a little bridge and there are coroners.
Is that what she said?
I thought they were a bit premature, aren't they, the coroners?
I thought she said... Can you say that? I thought she said at one point, she says, you see them there lying on the cream as well.
Well, that is also possible. I don't think that was a mistake. No. I'm off the dairy at the minute.
We're in Germany and everyone is lovely, even the ones with moustaches. They're all polite as anything, politically correct and not right-wing, except, of course, about the Turks. So why is it when I meet a he or she who is over 70, I have to stop myself from saying, what did you do in the war? Was it the Hitler Youth or the Afrika Korps? Did you draw up the Nuremberg laws? Were you a mate of Lord Haw-Haw's? I know I shouldn't be so sore, but Grandpa was rich and then so poor. That's why I need to explore what you did during the war.
Oh, let it drop. Hey Dave, it's competition time.
Brilliant.
As you may or may not know, we are going to play a mystery voice on every one of these podcasts, and if you can identify all of them, or if you identify the most, you win a Dodge Caliber, which is a big car.
They're all footballers. They're all footballers who have taken part in a World Cup. You're going to hear 15 voices. You get all 15, the whole squad, and you win a Dodge Caliber.
And this is mystery voice number 2.
Affectionate, you had me being sodomised by a horse.
So that was mystery voice number 2. Quite tricky, I think.
A little bit tricky, but, World Cup player. People should know.
I think the clue, obviously, was in what they said. And that's when you've got all 15, then it'll be time to find out who's won the big car.
Now, one thing that we asked you, our listeners, to do is we said, if you've had a romantic football moment or any kind of love moment connected with football, send it to us and we'll create a kind of football our tune based on it, didn't we?
Mm.
And we have had a few responses, and I thought we could read one out now, but we haven't got a record of the our tune.
Have you got one?
I've got an our tune sent in, but I don't have a record, so I was wondering, Frank, if you wouldn't mind singing it, basically. Okay. Can you do it?
Right.
Off you go.
Da, 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 da,
this is from Chinny. In 1995, I was a fresh-faced 12-year-old who met Frank at Lord's at the NatWest final between Northants and Warwickshire. I was halfway through asking my original, well-thought-out, thorough when's fantasy football coming back Frank question when Frank was interrupted by the long, flowing locks of Warwickshire captain Dermot Reeve, who proceeded to stare into Frank's eyes and invite him into the Warwickshire changing room. And Chinny ends, "That was the most romantic thing I've ever seen at a sporting event, and the most disturbing."
That was a completely innocuous moment. I remember it well. I just went up to, look at the dressing room.
Right, and nothing happened.
Da, 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 da. Now, there's been a lot of talk about Owen Hargreaves and whether he should or should not be playing for England.
It's a bit of a mystery for us.
There is a feeling that we don't know why he's in the squad. But as we were in Munich, we thought that would be a good idea to go out and find some Bayern Munich fans and find out what people who watch him week in and week out think. So that's what we did.
A fine player. It's a good player. I think nearly the best. I think he's. Is he in the British national team?
English.
It's yes. It's a good choice.
Owen Hargreaves schon gut und bewundere daran, dass als einer der wenigen es geschafft hat, aus dem Bayern-Internat zu den Profis zu gelangen. Und am meisten imponiert mir seine, dynamische Spielweise.
Also he thinks he likes him very well, and and he's very dynamic. Yeah, that is what he especially likes. Yeah.
He used to be a better player, and in last games he was a bit sad what he did.
The last games it was a bit sad what he did, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's true.
Well, we did. I tell you that the first one of those I really like. I just like how German he is. The first bloke who talks there.
But he doesn't sound like he was a proper German.
Oh, he was,
but he sounded like someone from LOLO.
Yeah. He sounded like someone acting a Nazi, basically.
When he says, "Sorry, is he in the British too?"
Can you actually play just that bit again, just where he says that?
The British national team.
Now that sounds to me like he's going to say "papers, please" any second. The British.
Oh man!
Oh, I like him.
It's never going to end. We're never going to get out of this World War II maze that we found ourselves.
But I love it when you find a comedy one.
That was a very good one. The British.
The Britisher. Because Britisher is presumably not actual German. I bet that's just comic book, World War II comic book. But he seems to be saying Britisher.
Oh, shut up now.
All right.
I'm flying high in a big blue sky. I got the world at my feet, and it's all because I'm with David Pleat on a plane. I'm with David Pleat on a plane. I might never feel this happy again. David Pleat on a plane, Pleat on a plane. As a trolley goes by with cans of Fanta and Lilton, he tells a light-hearted anecdote about Jim McGilton. David Pleat on a plane, David Pleat on a plane. Thank God I didn't opt to go ferry and train. David Pleat on a plane, Pleat on a plane, Pleat on a plane. He showed us a picture of himself with an academic downer, but when he said bollock I felt really let down. David Pleat on a plane, David Pleat on a plane. His unexpected outburst was never explained. David Pleat on a plane, Pleat on a plane, Pleat on a plane, Pleat on a plane, Pleat on a plane.
Okay, now we've been asking our listeners to email us and phone into our phone line and all that sort of stuff, and we've had some responses to our practical jokes question when we asked what's the best football practical jokes you've ever heard. This is my favourite so far. It says, I once decided to take Owen Hargreaves and Theo Walcott to a World Cup finals.
That's from Sven, is it?
I believe that's supposed to be from Sven. No, it says Barney 06. That could be pseudonym.
So we're going to our first game tomorrow, aren't we?
Yeah, we're going to the opening game, Germany versus Costa Rica. There's been a few Costa Ricans knocking around.
Yeah, lovely. Quite attractive one of them was, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was one, but most of them looked like slightly fat football fans you didn't think should be wearing replica shirts because they're designed for athletes.
Yeah, I know you're going to tell me to leave it, but I really felt the opening game should have been Germany-Poland. I mean, they're in the same group, and I think it would have suited, historically.
There's a slight problem. I mean, I am trying to talk you out of the various references to the 1930s and 40s, but I have to say there is a problem for an opening ceremony in Germany, I think, because usually, like if you take like the Greek Olympics, it has blokes running around with discuses and stuff like that. And you basically talk about what people most associate with that country.
Yes. Now, what do people most associate with Germany, do we think?
Well, yeah.
There was quite a silence there.
Because that is difficult.
No, it is difficult. I mean, but actually, having said that, I mean, they normally do a kind of world thing, don't they? They try and... every country has a little bit, but you're right. It should be all packaged in a big German bag.
Yeah, a big German bag. There'll be a big German bag, probably singing something from Wagner.
Yeah, with a Valkyrie helmet on.
Oh God.
Yeah, but no, I don't know. Well, we'll see what they'll do. But presumably, it'll be German history, then a short gap, and then something about reunification.
I think there'll be a break.
But what interests me is what they normally do is every country has a little thing that symbolises them. And I wondered if you had any thoughts about which countries, how they'd be symbolised at the opening ceremony.
Well, no, I hadn't.
I had a couple of thoughts, but some of them are rubbish, but here you go.
Well, we'll be the judge of that.
The Ivory Coast.
Yeah.
I thought they could have some elephants looking really frightened. Just loads of elephants panicking. They are rubbish.
That's good. No, I like that one.
Then I thought Switzerland, fairly straightforward, just a big tube with a white cross on it. Lots of people, they all stick their arms out. All the people doing that one, and they imitate a Swiss Army knife.
That's good.
Lots of different
I
arms
like
and legs.
Or maybe if the scoreboard suddenly split down the middle and an enormous great cuckoo came out.
That'd be great. A really, really big cuckoo.
I mean, it wouldn't be a real cuckoo. It would be like an attractive woman in a bodysuit with like a beak on and stuff like that. Or maybe they could have Baggy Bird from West Prom. Baggy
Bird. Serbia and Montenegro, I thought they could just have a big fight, the Montenegrins and the Serbians. Because I don't really think that they like each other. I don't really know, but I have a sense they don't really like each other, the Serbians and the Montenegrins.
Well, actually, I've always had this problem with Serbia and Montenegro, is that for 25 years I was convinced that Montenegro was in South America.
Yeah, it doesn't sound terribly European, does it, Montenegro?
I thought they were like twin towns, it being like...
Monte and Negro.
Leicester and Helsinki being in the European Championships or something.
Mexico, I think they should just go trad and have lots of little blokes with handlebar moustaches and sombreros.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to tinker with that.
No, exactly. Well, once again, I'm very pleased to welcome as our special guest on this podcast, Morrissey.
Hello.
Morrissey, do you feel it's fair that the national rather than the club side has the final say over whether Wayne Rooney goes to the World Cup?
Well, it's a very, 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 very old argument. It's been going on so long. Club versus country. That's what worries me.
And could I have your predictions for the opening game, Germany versus Costa Rica?
I think there might be a surprise in store for the Germans. 'Cause you never know what with the pressure of the opening game.
Morrissey, thank you very much.
So I've already been shopping in Munich, and I haven't actually shown you this, Dave, but I've got... Well, it's not really... I want to say I've got you a present, but
no.
I bought something which I thought was an interesting piece of World Cup memorabilia.
Okay, let's see it.
There it is.
I see, it's a plastic Nazi helmet, Frank.
It's a gold plastic Nazi helmet with the German badge on the side, which I was kind of surprised at, to be honest.
Yeah, it's surprising to me as well that you bought it.
Well, I only bought it out of interest.
Yeah.
And
I should say to listeners, it doesn't have swastikas on it or anything like that. It's just the shape of a Nazi helmet with a German flag on it.
Yeah, but I don't think the Germans wear this helmet anymore. I think it was discontinued after the bunker.
Yeah, it's a good question, though, because I would have thought the German army...
Bing Crosby was as well, wasn't he?
Carry on.
No, carry on.
I think the German army will still have to have helmets, but what helmets do they have now?
Well, they don't have that little, like, that skirting around the back anymore, I don't think.
Perhaps you'd like to try it on. I know you've got headphones on, but I might still be able to get a sense of it. Yeah. It doesn't suit you that much because of your deeply British face.
Oh, that's good news, though, isn't it? We'd have all been wearing these, if things had gone wrong.
I'll have a go.
But the bloke, I was with... our interpreter cum driver, Bianca, and she was extremely pissed off that they were selling these helmets and went into the shop and kind of told the bloke off a bit. And She said that they're okay if you're with your baby in the street and he needs something to shit in.
Is that what she said?
Yes.
But I would have thought that it's a response, isn't it? Because there was that story about the Dutch fans who all wore Nazi helmets painted orange.
Yeah, but this is what the shopkeeper said to her. He said that, well, the Dutch are going to wear orange Nazi helmets to wind us up, so we thought we'd get our own back. By wearing our own.
Yeah, you see, now what they've done there is it's not the right opposition, is it? I mean, if you're going to try and get back at the Dutch for wearing orange Nazi helmets, what you want to wear are clogs with swastikas.
Yeah.
That's the opposite of that, not Nazi helmets.
No, I wasn't quite convinced by his argument. But it's an incredible piece of merchandise.
Yeah.
I can't.
It's not FIFA approved, is it?
No, I don't think. It hasn't got the FA partners on the back. God knows the FA partners have been through enough, haven't they, with Ferreira Lam and all that. Anyway, I bought this as well, which again I haven't shown you. This is from the Bayern Munich shop.
It's Bayern Munich snuff.
Yeah, and it's a Bayern Munich snuff tin, and it contains actual Bayern Munich snuff.
You know, I actually quite like snuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I actually bought some snuff, and I've still got it, and it's really dry and horrible, but I still occasionally put it up my nose.
Oh, well,
It's just a good idea to do this. Can't we be sneezing for the rest of the podcast?
Well, that'll be all right, won't it?
All right, I go. Oh, I say. You know, as soon as I've taken this, I've got a desire to go, Sir.
Yeah.
I must say you are the worst cur of a gentleman I've ever met.
This would make a great video, like us doing this after Kate Moss's thing.
Yeah.
This is what German supermodels do. Claudia Schiffer taking Bayern Munich snuff.
Bayern Munich snuff.
Oh,
I think, do you think? Yeah, the other thing I feel after taking this is I want to sneeze and play a very dull role in central midfield for England.
It's quite. Oh man, it's cleared my head. Something lovely.
Oh, nice. So look, we're coming to the end now, and we have to talk about the England game because that's what everyone's thinking about.
Yes.
What?
No, I've still got the snuff.
Still something with the snuff.
But carry on.
It does clear your pipes, and you're off the dairy at the moment in order to clear your pipes.
Yes. But I'm off the dairy, but on the snuff. Anyway, yes, the England game is coming up.
Yeah, and well, obviously there's lots of excitement about it. One thing that has happened since we've been away that I've read about won't affect the England game directly, but is an interesting phenomenon, which is apparently Peter Crouch has now got his own special dedicated Sabutio player. Apparently he's my size.
Is it a long? It's going to be a long one, obviously.
Yeah. But it's an interesting idea because it's a very, very big bloke, small. So I can't quite get my head around it.
I'll tell you something about. I know we've tried to not go too far down the Peter Crouch route, but he's endlessly comic. Have you noticed something about Peter Crouch's shirt? Although he's the thinnest bloke in the team, he seems to have the biggest shirt.
The longest shirt.
Well, it looks big on him, though. I suppose it's because he's very thin inside it. And you can kind of see him moving about inside. If you can imagine a giraffe in a bag, that's what he's like. All his chest and that looks like inside it.
But one interesting point is I think he must get his shirt custom made, but the point is now, along with the FIFA directives, players get booked for not having their shirts tucked in, right? Now, I would have thought if he had a normal shirt, it'd be impossible for him to tuck it in because his torso is too long. He'd have to be putting it down the whole time to get it near his waistband.
Well, in the FA directives, players are booked for taking their shirt off if they score, but Peter Crouch it's an instant red card.
I would have thought it's a life ban, I imagine. But I would like to see that Sabutio player because I used to play a lot of Sabutio. Did I ever tell you?
I always hated Sabutio, actually.
Did you? I liked it. I used to have a thing you could buy in the 70s called Sabutio Sound, and this is a 45 record, and you put it on, and it simulated a crowd for you whilst you were playing. But of course, the trouble was it would roar the crowd, and you might be having a very dull bit of the Sabutio game.
Yeah.
So after a while, you would try and get it to merge with the sound of the record. The only thing they actually supported the crowd was Sabutio. So it would go, Sabutio, Sabutio. And I thought I was playing for England when I was, playing that game, so it didn't really work for me.
That's like football fans chanting football.
Yeah, exactly.
Which they never do.
They never did. Not even in the old days when everyone was great. Yeah. Talking of Peter Crouch, one more email. I think this is very interesting. It's from someone who says he's Don Estelle, a.k.a. Lofty Sugden. But what he says is, "Hi guys, Now, this is an omen or what? If you convert the height of Peter Crouch from feet and inches, he's 6'7", to metric, it converts to 2 metres and 66 millimetres, or, to be metrically precise, 2006.66. Now, that is spooky, because that is the omen 2006. And then he says, could Crouchy be Damien? Which I doubt.
But I'm presuming he means also we won it in 66 and this is 2006.
Well, he goes for the omen thing, but I think, the big omen seems to me it's 2006 now and he's 66. Those are all great numbers for us.
So as long as we keep picking Peter Crouch, he's a sort of talisman.
Yeah, I wouldn't take it too seriously.
Anyway, we're going to Germany-Costa Rica, the opening game, but more importantly, we're going to England-Paraguay. So I suppose I could only say, come on, England.
Yeah, Sabutio.
Listen to the unofficial voice of World Cup 2006, brought to you by Times Online and Avalon in association with the Dodge Calibre.